Next is from Matthew Flanagan. The subject is Joe Buried.
Oh,
I've been listening to both The Raven Effect and Get My Go, plus old episodes of Creative Control and selected Talk of Jericho episodes. I'm a doctor in an emergency room and usually listen to podcasts on my downtime, my drives in. I was surprised that Joe on all these shows always has something interesting to contribute. Seems to be well-read and well-versed in music, movies, wrestling, old sports, and other stuff. What's the point of just badgering a guy who could be worth so much more to the show? First, okay.
People think they're helping me, and they're just making it worse for me.
Rather than the same old 3-word answers, take email questions or show review that just consists of Disco reading someone else's report and Conan saying yes or no. It's a total waste. Mystery to me that someone who has spotted talent before, Conan, and someone who has been in creative environments before, Disco, don't seek to give this guy more of a forum. Yet give Billy a forum and let him converse uninterrupted about how rich he is, how smart he is, how much everyone else is a loser, etc. There's not giving into cancel culture, and then there's not listening to your audience, which you guys always accuse wrestling companies of doing. Yet purposely do it on your own show. Read the emails and the YouTube comments. He sucks, his segments suck, and nobody wants it. Nobody. I just want to get these points across, but since I'm required to ask a question. Between THA and AWCW, where do you guys feel more? Wait, THA and AWCW, what is that? Where do you guys feel more creatively satisfied? So this guy called to complain about Billy. He claimed he's a doctor in an emergency room. Bro, you're listening to these podcasts when you're performing surgeries? Like, this is what I usually listen to podcasts on my downtime. Okay, all right, so I get that.
So I was muted. I said I think he meant TNA and WCW.
Let me explain something to this guy here, okay? First of all, we use Billy. And the only reason we use Billy is because he's very well versed in sports that we like. And me and Conan like to talk sports. Okay, we use Billy for wrestling news because none of the budget wrestling news guys want to come on our show. So it's like, we've got a guy that does reports that seems credible. You know, he's a heel. He used to be on Big Brother in London and was a very hated guy there and stuff. So it's like he's kind of a character, but it's like, bro, these dirt sheet guys won't come on our show. We want a brief dirt sheet commentary each week, and Billy also likes sports. And he likes football, he likes soccer, he likes boxing, and he likes UFC, which are 4 things that me and Conan like to talk about. So he's very, very well versed on that stuff. He's like an expert on soccer. So it's like, I don't know, just because like the wrestling fans don't like him and his wrestling content, me and Conan like him because he brings the type of discussion that we like to talk about. Would you agree with that, Conan?
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Now, I don't understand this last question.
Now,
what is THA and AWCW?
I think he meant TNA and WCW. Looks like he typoed it a couple times.
He misspelled it.
Now, in this letter, he's saying
double typo.
Yeah, that people ask questions and all I say is yes or no. Don't be such a moron, okay? Right. I go into details, you. And if you are a doctor, which I highly doubt.
Wait. I think the thing I got to finish the letter here. This guy who talks about, he says, this is what he says. Give Billy a forum uninterrupted about how rich he is, how smart he is, how much everyone else is losing, blah, blah. You know how this guy concludes his email? Dr. Flanagan, Orlando, Florida.
All right. Listening to Joe's phlegm is not very. Try to mute that.
Well, when I cough, I mute. When I laugh at you.
If that's
Alleged really Dr. Flanagan.
Right,
Allegedly.
Definitely your name. There's a bar in Miami called Flanagan's. Probably hangs out there. Let me just say this about Joe. Joe, tell me 5 things you've contributed to the show that you're very proud of.
Well, I convinced you guys to switch to Spreaker, which got us all pretty well paid and getting ads.
I'm talking about content.
Okay, that's one thing he's proud of. Whatever Spreaker got us more money.
But that's behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, I'm behind the scenes on this show. That's right. I mean, that's mostly what I do. But I think if you want to say on the show, I'm
both. Either one.
Yeah, I like being on the mailbag because I can help you guys remember things, or I might have information that you don't have because I was a dirt sheet reader and still am for years.
Right.
Fair game.
I am proud of the fact that I learned Conan's editing process, and then he kind of handed it off to me eventually because he trusted me to do it the way he was doing it.
Right.
Booking guests or giving ideas like, hey, maybe we should have Eric on this week. Maybe we should have this or something. Maybe stuff you guys wouldn't have thought of.
We need to start sending Dr. Flanagan your suggestions for K100 question topics.
Okay, and give me the 5th one.
We need to send that to Dr. Flanagan.
Give me the 5th one.
The fifth one, I guess it's not really, but it's this working this gig and editing and producing and looking for ads and all has just made me better at everything else I do. Like this is my first, this is where I learned the most. And then it allowed me to expand, you know?
What would you add to that? What would you add to that, Disco?
Well, let's not forget you still oversleep a lot, and it's from a work at home job. Okay,
yeah, that is true.
I'll say that.
That's a big strike.
But no, I just want to conclude this email question because he did ask a question. The TNA Sports Entertainment Extreme stuff is the funnest stuff I've ever, like the best stuff I've ever done. I thought that was like creatively that was my favorite time in wrestling. And what about yours, Conan?
Yeah, I've had a lot of good times everywhere I've been. Yeah, but right. Let me just. So, what would you add to Joe Sting contributions?
That he knows. He is kind of he's kind of the ECW nerd.
Right.
So if we have he knows like a lot of this stuff that we would have no clue. Like Joe knows a lot. Joe knows a lot of a lot of the stuff that Dirt Sheet fans that have been reading the Dirt Sheet over the years would know. Because I don't read the dirt sheets, so Joe has some of that type of,
So if I had to, I'm going to tell you what I think Joe's contributions have been to the show in a second. But first, I want to just tell this guy this. I've worked with Joe for 6 years. He produces a show and that's it. Because at the beginning, I told him, you're not going to talk. You have nothing that I want to hear. And he kind of like, oh, come on, give me a chance. And
we didn't know you.
So
we didn't know the guy.
Right.
Right.
Because his whole thing was like, oh, I have a show called Creative Control and Vince Russo was on it. Okay. Big deal. And and he would always say Disco was on it. Like that was going to make me be on the show.
And MSL.
Okay. Who gives and Eddie Bear Ferrara. And I was like, okay, who gives Then when he started to do the show, I'm coming off as if I don't do his show. And if you listen to the show, I tell him what I think about it on his own show.
Which was everybody's favorite part.
And to Dr. Flanagan, if you like him so much, then listen to him on the aforementioned shows. On Raven, on Hughley, on Francine, on Dash and Cash, on all these other shows that he's a guest on.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
I'm going to go one step further with Dr. Flanagan. Dr. Flanagan. Here's what I would like to say to you. If you're going to do a podcast, okay, and you are doing a podcast where we're doing mailbags like these are, start your own podcast, okay? See how long it takes you to record. See how many hours you put into your week recording this stuff if you do it by yourself, and then add somebody else and see how long that takes, and then add somebody else and see how long that takes. So if you want to record longer and longer and longer, you add more guys because you get more training. It's like nothing against Joe, but it's like we've got 3 voices here,
dude,
and we have a lot of content to talk about. It's like
I know
that's why Joe kind of like doesn't really talk that much because
pop in
and let me add
that. I know.
Let me add this.
Nobody's listening to K100 with Conan and Disco to hear me.
I think personally, Joe was pretty clueless when I met him.
Yes,
but if you want, buy his 13 shirts and rub one out to him. Have at it, Flanagan. I'm going to tell you the 2 things Joe has contributed to this show. Being fair, the rehash.
I would bet you that Dr. Flanagan does penile enlargement surgeries.
For sure.
If that's the case,
for sure,
I'll come to your clinic.
Yeah, because you have a small carriage. Let me tell. So
white and Irish.
Let me tell you the 2 things that Joe has contributed to this show: the rehash show, which was a great idea, and getting us on Spreaker, which really got us paid.
Mm-hmm. There's a debatable because remember I was the one that said, "Hey, this guy Hughley will do the YouTube channel." Now that's debatable whether that was a good or bad contribution.
That's a bad.
What, he doing it already?
But he's making us money at least.
The kid personally,
he's what?
Yeah, he was pirating the clips.
Right.
So
we actually hired a thief. The guy who was stealing our
right. Remember.
That's what Vegas does. When they find all the cheats, the people that cheated, and they hire them
to spot their cheats.
Cameras to spot the cheats, So that's
usually was kind of funny because at the beginning, remember he would put in
"Hello, Hughley, hello,
right, hello, Hughley," and I thought that was funny.
Yeah, right. But he did that, DI, when he started doing the YouTube channel. He found everyone else that was pirating our clips and got them shut down and kept himself as the original pirater. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's making us money.
Yep.